Who knew this beautiful baby, Rozalind Strickland, would begin a revolution? From a nursing school student to working with the Cleveland Clinic and working on major projects, bringing together players, whether they were Congress people or celebrities or even at events, standing in front of a DeLorean. Rosalind's always about moving the needle, about making sure that we're saving lives and making our community better. She's an incredible networker and a compassionate and loving friend and family member. No matter the event or the people that she works with, she has the strategy of networking and bringing together through listening and observing. It's amazing to see her grow and help people. She is one of the few people that is certified to help seniors and maintain their special needs and their quality of life through being that certified senior home safety specialist, redesigning and remodeling and giving people an incredible experience. She's changing the healthcare industry. Her goal and her function and what she believes the optimal living experience connects environmental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and material elements. It is her mission to provide comfort and safety. We're so proud as her mentee, all of us who owe our careers to her have seen her build in this certified senior home safety specialist role the design and function at home, in workplaces, and with special needs. I'm so proud to introduce you to Rozalind Strickland. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited about this leadership series with Miracle Resources Media. I am honored to introduce you to my mentor, Rozalind Strickland. You know, we worked together when Rozalind was at the Cleveland Clinic and working on many, many different projects, but truly a leader. So let's review for everybody from the beginning of the podcast intro. A leader is someone who is creating something new or taking their team and the people who are their stakeholders to a new level. They're really gearing up the troops and really educating people. What Rozalind is going to explain to you is a new business that she has created. She is the only person and company doing this exact work to benefit people. And I think that's revolutionary. So I am interested in you meeting my revolutionary Rozalind Strickland.
Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for that wonderful introduction. This is very exciting. Let me step back and give you a little bit of background. I spent 35 years at the Cleveland Clinic over in several management roles, and I learned a great deal there about how to do things innovatively, and taking things to the next level. We were big on that. So when I resigned from the Cleveland Clinic in 2013 to come home and be a caregiver to my mom, who had had a stroke, whom I had had with me for 21 years following a stroke, which is a pretty long time to have someone in that condition with you. I began thinking about what's the next step for me because I knew God was not through. And I started thinking of what could I do innovatively, but it had to have a component that would capture the essence of the 35 years that I had spent at the Cleveland Clinic. So I got to thinking, and I really loved interior design because I worked on several different construction projects at the clinic. And that really talked to my soul. And I wanted to do something that would really benefit people. So I got to thinking about, well, you know what? Interior design, everyone thinks of the bling and, all of the exciting things and what color are we going to do this and that. And while that's exciting, I was thinking, you know what? We're an aging society. And wouldn't it be nice if people could age in their homes in a at atmosphere that was aesthetically pleasing to them, as opposed to going into a nursing home or a senior living facility or something like that. And so that's how I ended up with Rozalind Strickland Interior Design. And I really focus on being able to create comfort for the entire person. I take into account what is going on with them health wise. There has been a lot of changes in the vendors over the years. The grab bars don't look like grab bars, and your house does not have to look like an institution, which I think is what a lot of people are afraid of. Oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. And then I took it to another level. I was sitting one day and I was observing different things in different senior living facilities, and I'm thinking, the builders are really missing the boat on a lot of different issues, in my opinion. For example, it's amazing to me the number of homes in Northeast Ohio that do not have step rails, do not have guardrails. Okay, so how do you get into your home? For example, I was working with a lady who lives in Shaker, 90 years old, and she has no step rails to get into her home in either the front entrance nor the garage. And I'm watching her try to come out of the garage, bringing her garbage down the steps with nothing to hold on to. She could easily just fall right into her car and hit her head on the concrete. And, that could be the end of it. But she had a thing about her mail. And this kind of got me thinking, with mailboxes, how many mailboxes do you see at the end of a driveway? Catherine?
Oh my goodness, it depends on the neighborhood, but most are that way. And with ice and snow in Northeast Ohio, treacherous to get there.
It's a fall waiting to happen.
That's right.
Many of your newer home developments have centralized mail to one location. That's another problem. So your mail becomes increasingly important as we age, because that's our way of getting communication. It's a way of socializing. Oh, who wrote me today? It's not just another bill coming in the mail. It's something, someone has sent you something. It is something to read. It has more value to you at that time. And I'm looking at her mailbox was actually on the side of her porch. So she comes out onto her porch, stepping onto black ice, and nothing to brace the fall because she had to reach to get into her mailbox. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you could just topple over into the rose garden, I said. Mm-hmm. And, no one would find you except, when the mailman comes up and it happened to look over there and see you. And so we ended up putting guardrails up. She did not want to move the mailbox, so I didn't win that battle. But I did get guardrails up that would brace a fall. And stepless entries. Now that is something that I really would like to push for with the construction department and home developers, because steps are treacherous.
Yes.
And believe it or not, there is a person in the emergency room every 19 minutes from a fall. Can you imagine? And by the year 2030, that's going to increase from 3 people per hour to 4 people per hour that is in the emergency room due to a fall. And the falls are often fatal. And they don't have to be. So in looking back at my career, I look at prevention is the key. Early detection saves lives. If there are a lot of things that we could do and begin to integrate the health and wellness into our thought process, especially as we're building these new facilities, I think we would be much better. better off as a society.
And I need to compliment you because why I call you so revolutionary in researching to prepare to meet with you today. One of the things that I'm reading because of virtual office visits and the thought that over the next years, many appointments will be in your home.
Correct.
And that may mean, as this article was discussing, that people are able to stay in their home. And there is that huge want of people to stay in their home. But I admire you as a leader because you're helping that revolution of how healthcare will be delivered. And you're right there as a leader, innovating toward it. The other compliment I have for you as a leader is your communication. We all know if we look at our family, there's some stubbornness, and
Oh, yes.
you just have a
Oh, yes.
way of communicating, as you said, when you worked with this woman who's 90 years old and you didn't want her to fall in the rose bushes and the mailman finding her, you have a way of communicating that helps people make a better decision. And I'd like to know from you, where as a leader, where did you learn that? Who taught you that? You're so good at that because, again, the population that you're working with, there's so much pride in their home. There's memories. And like you said, people opening mail. And I think as we watch you, we can all think of a loved one that you just want to say, get rid of those throw rugs. You're going to fall on them. You need handrails, and they're fighting you all the way through. So where did you learn that? Because in my work with you, you're an exceptional communicator. Where did you learn that?
Actually, I learned it several places. I learned it mostly at the Cleveland Clinic. Excuse me. When I was there, I worked in the cancer department, and I worked there for 12 years. So you get to see the whole gamut. And that, believe it or not, was my most favorite specialty. Nothing else is more important than your life. And that really puts it on the line there. I saw so many people who, within a heartbeat, would pack up, sell their home, leave, traipse 5,000 miles across the country to come for a second chance at life. And I saw that over and over and over again. I saw people go on clinical trials who were absolutely against clinical trials. And it really, if you put yourself in their place, what they want is, I want to be cured. I want to have a quality of life. And I want to, so for them, one of the other things that I learned no one knows this is a little known secret about me. I actually started out in nursing school.
Okay, I read that, or you had told me that. So you really do have that caregiver and not only an executive in a hospital, but you really have that caregiver. And is that another way that you learn to communicate?
That was another way that I learned. I did not finish nursing school. I actually went on to become a healthcare administrator, healthcare administration. And that was a story in and of itself because I went to school. I went all the way through my psych clinicals and woke up one day and decided, I don't think this is for me. I don't think this is my calling. And so I went back to school and I said, I really would like my degree in healthcare administration. Well, at that time, it was not fashionable. It was not even on the radar screen. So I told the school, I said, okay, how about if I write the curriculum, you run it up the flagpole and tell me yay or nay? And they came back and said yes.
Now that's leadership, everybody, right there.
And so I was so proud of that. And I got the degree that I really wanted because I just felt myself being called to affect policy, affect change in a different way than from a bedside. And, but even looking at the patients, we were taught at that time, I had a very good nursing teacher. And she taught us pain is whatever the patient says it is. You do not argue with them. It is their pain. It is them communicating to you. You cannot guess what their pain is. You can speculate and say, oh, that's painful, like you have a heel spur, or you're in pain from cancer or something like that. But the patient who is experiencing the pain is what you go with. And that taught me it's not about me, it's about them. So when I'm talking to families, and often I'm talking to the children of families, trying to get them to look at what their loved ones are going through, it's been really helpful because I can say, you know what, this is something that you may want to consider, or you may not. But I think one of the most important things is giving people options. You may choose, you may elect not to go with it, but at least you can make a more informed decision by knowing what your options are.
So
One of the things I run up against quite a bit is the walk-in tubs. I'm not a big fan of the walk-in tubs because, first of all, it takes 50 gallons of water to fill them up.
Mhm.
So that wreaks havoc with your water bill. And as we're aging, we're looking to cut costs as opposed to increase costs. But I often worry about getting out of the tub before they drain the water out. And then that could create a big mess. And we all know water also increases falls.
Mhm.
And but if that is something that you choose to do, here's the ins and outs that the vendors don't tell you. So look lovely in your home. You'll be able to sit upright. You won't have to sit so low in the tub, and those types of things. But people want to make choices, and I find that more and more with the elderly. It's about losing their independence. I don't want to lose my independence.
No
I
one does.
want to be able to make the same decisions that I was making 20, 30 years ago. So you have to find a way to make that happen.
So, Rozalind, you are so revolutionary, and I didn't mean to interrupt you before, but you packed in so much into that we need to learn. As a leader, you're a great communicator because you listen. And I also would advise anyone who has a loved one or themselves to call Rozalind. With my mother-in-law, I called Rozalind. My husband and I got on the phone with her, talked about things that we needed to do. She will listen and she cares. So let's take away three things from the last piece that you said. You talked about being a caregiver and truly caring about people. And that's why I would encourage you guys, anybody who needs help, call Rozalind first before you do anything. She will help you. And again, Rozalind Strickland, Interior Design. Give that call. But the other part that I want to share is you talked a lot about listening and about giving options. That's true leadership, because when someone is very stubborn and they don't want to make a decision, even though you're preventing them from something that could be tragic, giving them those options matters very much. Now, as a leader, there's another piece that in my research to prepare for today, the financial of assisted living, special care, memory care, and again, nursing home. Rosalind's revolutionary because she will save you money. And I want you to talk about that, Rozalind, because when you look at the financials, and Rozalind had a PowerPoint that she presented to my husband and myself, and the financials for this stage of life. And again, it could be somebody at hip replacement that's 45 years old. Please don't think that we're just talking about people who are in their 80s. We're talking about any type of care. So will you talk about the financials and why you as a leader, I feel, are being revolutionary in helping people, because not everyone can afford this new way of
That is
taking care of
true.
people.
That is true. And that is one of the reasons why I recommend, if you're going to redo your home and make it more accessible as you age or as you thrive, I say, through the process, you can start anywhere because it is a lot. It's a lot to consider. and it does have a nice price tag. But the price tag is not as great as if you were put into a nursing home
Mm.
or an assisted living facility. I think nationally, right now, assisted living facilities range anywhere from assisted living and nursing homes range anywhere from like on a low end of $2,000 per month all the way to $24,000 per month. Now, just think about that for a minute. $24,000 per month. Who has that? If you do have it, you're going to zip through your retirement pretty quickly. Whereas for a fraction of the money, you can upgrade your home to make it more accessible for you and do some of the things that can make things more convenient for you as you begin to age. Because, hey, let's face it, life happens. We don't know what may happen from one day to the next. Um, and it's a little bit more manageable if you do it piece by piece. But a lot of things can be done and can be done affordably, and you can stay in the comforts of your home, which is where you want to be. Another thing that is going to drive it is, do you have long-term care insurance? A lot of us balked at that as we were, in our 20s and 30s, thinking, oh, we're going to live forever and, we're going to have good health forever. Well, you could have a fall and you could have a hip replacement. You could have a shoulder replacement. You could have a stroke. I look at all disabilities. Um, a lot can happen in those years. Or you sell your home, turn your home over to an assisted living facility or a nursing home. These these are assets that your parents have amassed over the years and through a lot of pain, sweat, and tears that they look to leave you a legacy. May not be much, but it's a legacy. It was important to them. It took a lot for them to get it. It took a lot for them to keep it. And why would I just sign it over to a nursing home to be able to take care of me? Another little known fact about being admitted to a nursing home or an assisted living facility or some of these other senior high rises, that's just room and board. That does not take on, if you need special care, you have to hire a private duty person to come in to do that because the facility does not have the staff to do it, nor are they set up to do it. So you're paying on top of it anyway. So I'm in an assisted living facility and I'm paying, let's say, $7,000 per month. And oh, by the way, I was recently in the hospital and now I have to have care around the clock. Well, that care around the clock comes at a cost. You have to hire someone to come in and provide the care and continue to pay the assisted living facility.
So, Rozalind, you've really made and given us the evidence of working with you to try to keep someone in their home, to really make that work. But I want our audience to know, because this is true leadership, not only from a financial perspective, Rozalind Strickland Interior Design, from a safety perspective, working with a leader who can communicate and give options and listen and cares. The other component is that I don't want our audience to just think, because in researching about you, and I want Rozalind to do more with media, and Miracle Resources owns a public relations firm, so I'm always like, oh, she would be great on air. I think that one piece that really came out to me in research was someone has a child that will have special needs. I have many friends who have spina bifida from my work with the March of Dimes. Your home needs to be retrofitted. And Rozalind can help with that. Rozalind was involved with the March of Dimes. She knows the people that we both had worked with. I know that you've worked with the Western Reserve Area on Aging, But I don't want all of you to just think that this leader that I have on screen today is just for seniors. It could be that someone has a child with special needs and really doesn't know where to turn. Stop watching the YouTube videos and get to the person who's certified and knows how to do that. So I was going to ask you, Rozalind, who is your perfect client? What is your perfect project? But you have so many ways you can help. So did you want to answer that question? What is that one project that you would love to work on, or that one client that you would love to see?
I always say the perfect project is the next project because you don't know what it's going to be. But one of the things I really love to do is to listen to what the needs are and to look at their current health situation. And one of the things that I often work with, looking at working with families, you don't realize that the child who is in a wheelchair today, their wheelchair needs are going to change as they grow. They're going to outgrow the wheelchair they're in. They are going to, you want to have the home spacious enough to be able to accommodate a wheelchair. You need spatial floor plans. Let's look at someone, so that could range anywhere from the children to someone who say, let's say someone who has Alzheimer's. Um, Lighting is very important. And not only, the other thing that I want to bring up is it's not just the interior of your home, it's the exterior as well. Do you have a lot of overgrown bushes? Is your concrete level? Um, is it a dirt driveway or dirt flooring that gets you up to the front of your home? How do you get in? If you're putting a ramp on your home, do you have swing capacity? Is the doorway wide enough? One of the things I'm often amazed with is, we'll spend $10,000 to put a ramp on the front of our home, but we don't address the doorway.
Yes. Good
And
point. But the other part is about the lighting. Talk about that a little bit, because I don't think that people would come to them at first. Talk about the lighting and what needs you've experienced.
lighting is very important as we begin to age because sometimes our eyesight begins to dim a little. I'll say we begin to go into the twilight of our years. However, it's especially important with individuals with dementia and Alzheimer's because the glare from the lighting offers often triggers in individuals with that condition. It makes them more agitated. And that's one of the last things that you want to have them be, especially in the middle of the night. If they're getting up to go to the bathroom or getting up to walk or whatever, you don't want to have a sudden lighting glare into their eyes or because it agitates them. So there are a lot of things that we live with that can be triggers for our own health condition. Working with veterans, one of the things that they are big on, many of them have PSTD. So wouldn't it be nice if I'm a builder and I'm building a home for someone with that condition to begin looking at soundproofing the walls?
Good idea.
To reduce the triggers, someone who has asthma. One thing a lot of people do not think about is, okay, we need to have the air ducts cleaned. How often do you clean your air ducts? Well, that's something that you may need to consider because it's not only diagnosed in children, but asthma can be diagnosed in individuals who are elderly. They call it latent asthma. So you want to reduce the dust and particles. You want to have pure air quality so that I can live at home and feel free to live and breathe clean air and not have to worry about compromising my asthmatic condition.
So, are all of you right now thinking, wow, most people are just going to say, I'll sell my house and get a ranch? There is so much more to this, whether it's lighting, whether it is soundproofing walls, whether it is the air quality. And I know that many of you, really probably zoned in on what Rosalind was saying about, the handrails, and is the door big enough, and is your concrete level? But let's take Rosalind as a leader. As a leader, it's really listening, and it's really, Rosalind, looking at the whole picture, the whole needs. And that's where that nursing school and that caregiving and the Cleveland Clinic come in. But also, as a leader, you've been revolutionary by finding a solution that's cost effective. Also, when you look at future trends, you fit into those future trends. If we are doing more virtual appointments, and we are doing, the home becomes more of what this one article talked about, the home becomes more like your hospital. This is where your health care is given. You fit right into that. But also, today we talked about, as a leader, looking at everyone's needs. And we don't know how old we're going to be when maybe we need a hip replacement, or if we have a fall. We never know. So, Rosalind, I want you to tell the audience how we can help you. Because again, at the end of the video, you're going to see how to contact Rosalind. You're going to see all of that information, but also don't be afraid to tell us what you're working on. Like, of course, I'd love you to write a book. There's a documentary about everything you do. I mean, look at HGTV. Rosalind definitely have plenty of content for a show. So tell us what's coming up for you, and how our audience can help you.
Okay, well, what's coming up for me is I went to a resource fair a couple of weeks ago for special needs children.
Good.
And I would really like to work with the special needs a little bit more, the veterans, because I know they have a lot of needs. Um, it could range anywhere from, maybe they have a spinal cord injury, how am I going to get in and out of the house? And the activities of daily living are very important to people. We start our day out in the bathroom. So I do far more bathrooms than I do kitchens, but kitchens are very important and often overlooked. So one thing in the kitchen, talk about lighting, the under cab task lighting is very important because you want to see what you're doing. People want to feel useful in their homes. They don't want to feel as though, what, I'm just staying here, or I'm just here, or I can't do anything. But you need to have the proper lighting so that you can cook, be able to see in the refrigerator. I would recommend open glass shelving so that you can see what's in your refrigerator as opposed to the frosted bins,
Yes.
because you can't see and you have to pull up and be able to get in there, but you need to see at a glance. Another thing about the kitchen, and this is, I'll give you a tip, the countertops. I recommend demarcating your countertops with a different color around the rim, because as we age, our depth perception decreases. So I might think I'm putting a glass here in the middle of the counter, and I'm actually at the edge if it's all one color.
That is incredible. I thought you were going to talk about lowering them so they were easy to access, but you're right about that.
Lowering them is a good idea as well, so that someone who's in a wheelchair can wheel right up. Your children who may be in a wheelchair, or your child who may be in a wheelchair, can eat with the rest of the family. That's socialization. That is so important. They can help prepare the food because the countertop is low enough for them to work on, those types of things. You need to be able to pull out the drawers. Safety bars now come in multiple colors. One of my other pet peeves is the commode in the bathroom.
Oh.
15 inches off of the ground just does not get it anymore.
Mhm.
And the builders who get a good deal on a toilet, that is of that size, and it's, on time and on budget, does not work. You need a comfort height toilet. And comfort height to me is chair height. Some are almost chair height. So you need to begin looking at that as well. And one of the other things that I thought of, do we know how many back problems we could probably eliminate?
Oh, that's so true. So true. But I do want to say, audience, as you're listening to Rozalind speak about every one of those details, if you are able to have her speak at your organization, and whether you're a veteran and you want her to speak at a veterans group, just to give, 5 quick tips to your home. The other part is for special needs. Rozalind, I'm involved with a couple of groups in that area. As you remember, our days at March of Dimes, but I attended a recent fundraiser for Camp Quality and
Okay.
met some amazing volunteers. And I just think for all of us in the audience, whether Rozalind comes and does a 30-minute presentation on some tips to think about, but Rozalind, I'm also thinking in terms of real estate, when we make the decisions about our home and the retrofit, many times after a stroke, people, and I know my husband and I were looking at from my mother-in-law, okay, where can she go? Is there a home that already has all of that done? So I know, Rozalind, you have many alliances and you're in many networking groups, but I want all of you to know, as a leader in this industry, as Rozalind is an innovator and so many, this revolution, let's think about who we can introduce her to. Let's think about who you want to share this video with. So that way they may be thinking about this. Because Rozalind, each time you bring up something, I think, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. And I'm sure the audience is feeling that way as well. So Rozalind, because I do want to say to you that for everybody watching this video, we want to connect you to Rozalind. We're going to have all that contact info. But is there anything else that you want the audience to do or know?
Yes, there is a project that I worked on that was very near and dear to me, and it's actually becoming a large public health issue. A lot of people don't realize it. Hearing. Hearing is a public health issue because in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we all had the loud boom boxes going. We had we had to listen to our rock and roll at at decibel 100. And so now we're paying for that. I'm sad to say that we actually have kids who are entering school, entering kindergarten, that have hearing problems and hearing loss, major hearing loss. There are remedies for that. So not only do I go through a home safety check, but I also go through a health check as well. Okay, so what issues are you having today? Um, and I was helping a lady a couple years ago who was building a home for her 90-year-old parents. And by the way, if someone is looking to build a home, those are very good referrals to me because I can make the recommendations about how they're building and what they're building and what they may want to consider, and placement and that type of thing. Um, and so as we were going through each of the rooms, at the conclusion, I said, "Are there any health concerns?" And she said, "Well, my parents don't hear." Well, that's a problem. Okay. And being able to integrate that into the design, which is less costly than having to go back and retrofit. So I was able to find a security system that worked with strobe lighting and a bed shaker that would sense fire and carbon monoxide poisoning and would wake them up in the middle of the night if one of those conditions should occur.
This is powerful. And, I should have mentioned this because Rozalind and I talked about this. If your loved one cannot hear the alarm, what happens?
Mm-hmm.
This is powerful information that everyone needs to know. Rozalind, I'm so excited that you're working on so many facets of this for the audience that you serve and for our audience today, thinking about leadership and wanted to share with all of you. We packed a lot into this. So let's kind of do a little quick review before Rozalind gives us some parting comments. Rozalind is a caregiver, understanding her audience, the people that her clients, the people she supports. That's number one in leadership, a true understanding of what people need. You've seen through Rozalind speaking today, no matter the career, it was looking at problems and creating solutions. The other part is listening, being a great communicator that gives options. But also you can tell that Rosalind's up on technology. That's another part of our leadership, everyone. We have to know the latest technology. Then let's look at Rozalind on a financial standpoint. Rozalind understands that what she offers is going to save people money. That's a key in leadership. We have to be able to show our, again, return on investment. And you've done an incredible job with that. That's why I believe you are revolutionary as a leader and as a person who is helping people with many needs. So to summarize, before I turn it over to Rozalind, this is a person who I'm blessed to have as a mentor. I'm hoping all of you will consider getting into a mentoring circle. A mentoring circle is something that I have loved in the last years, where I bring together my mentors, talk with them, and learn from them, but I also share information with them. So for each and every one of you, consider a mentor and make them revolutionary. Okay, Rozalind, I'm going to turn it over to you for final thoughts.
Okay. My final thoughts is to really consider the needs of your loved one. Their home is their largest investment that they have ever made throughout their lives, and they're very prideful. Removing someone from surroundings that they are very familiar with, I'm sorry to say, can trigger a lot of different health issues, unintended. It's not what you intended to do, but to move at this stage of the game out of familiar surroundings and into a place that's regimented. Even though, you can get up and walk around and all of that, you're regimented. You're told when to eat, when you're going to have activities. You're told when to go to bed. You're told when to shower. That's regimented. And I actually believe that people, for those reasons alone, do not want to leave their homes. They want to be someplace where they have the freedom to do whatever they want, albeit you may have to have someone watching them, which is true for all of us, but it gives them a better quality of life. I know where the kitchen is. I can go get a peanut butter sandwich if I want. I can go get a glass of water. I know how to open the refrigerator. Where they're moving to is all new surroundings. And just think of having to relearn where everything is and how it works and functions at 90 years old, 60 years old, or 70 years old. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that as much as they don't want to move there, their lives begin to go the minute they move in. I'm leaving my home. I'm leaving all of this behind. My children don't want it. Here's another fact to consider. For those who are considering an in-law suite, I do consultations around in-law suites. Is it going to look like it was made at the time the home was actually built? Or is it going to look like an add-on? And how are you going to repurpose it when your loved one is no longer with you? Those are all considerations, as opposed to just, okay, we'll just add another 4 walls onto the home. What are those 4 walls going to do? Obviously, you want them to enhance your existing home, And then what do I do with it when my loved one is no longer here? Do you have children in the house if you're bringing your loved ones to live with you? It's fine for the children to be there with their grandparents, but sometimes older people want quiet. How are you going to divide the home up? Is the home large enough to divide up so that children have their space and your loved ones have their space and you cohabit amicably? So those are all considerations when you're looking to either bring your loved one to live with you, looking to place your loved one in a home, be it assisted living, memory care, or a nursing home, or whatever. Those are all things that you need to consider along with the cost that goes with it.
So friends, make the first call before you spend the money and create something that isn't going to be workable. So Rozalind Strickland Interior Design, she is your solution. She's an incredible leader. We've learned so much from her today. Thank you, Rozalind.
Oh,
And thank
thank
you everyone
you.
for listening. Please reach out to Rozalind. Her information and her bio are provided as a link to this video. Thanks, everyone.